Today's guest at Prime Academy's Fireside Chat is Sarat Babu. If you Google just that name, his namesake actor would flood the internet space. But add Food King along, and the inspiring story of our guest today would enthrall you. Sarat Babu Elumalai is the founder of Food King, one of India's largest catering enterprises. Starting with a capital of just rupees 2000 in the year 2006, the revenue of Food King today runs into crores. But it is not just his entrepreneurial skills that makes him an inspiration. Sarat Babu Elumalai is a true rags to riches story. He was born in the slums of Chennai. His mother sold idlis at pavements in the morning, worked for the state government's midday meal scheme at schools during the day, and at a point managed three jobs by also teaching at the state government's adult education program. Yes, that is how much Sarat Babu's mother believed in the power of education, more so to alleviate their family's misery. And Sarat Babu did not disappoint. Even as his siblings dropped out, Sarat Babu continued to be a topper in his class. He completed his engineering at BITS Pilani, worked at Polaris to pay back his debt, and went on to pursue MBA at IIM Ahmedabad before turning an entrepreneur. Welcoming Fireside viewers to a conversation with how many have been describing him to be a real life slumdog millionaire.
Yes, it's so nice to see you in person. So long I was reading articles about you and watching all of your videos.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you for talking to us. So when I was reading your story, sir, according to me, I felt there were two heroes in the story. One was obviously you and the second was your mom. So I thought it would be a good idea to straight away start off this conversation with your mom. So I was thinking that she was way ahead of her time. She did three jobs, out of which one was actually teaching at adult learning program. She was not even a student. So she's definitely been ahead of her time. So I was wondering if something that she taught you during her childhood days actually helped you take business decisions with when you were managing Food King. So I was wondering if there are any anecdotes you can share where you faced some tricky business situation
Okay.
and an advice of your mom came to your rescue.
Actually, one thing, basic philosophy is my business philosophy is we try to give the best product at the best rate possible. Okay. So we don't overcharge, or we are not a premium kind of a customer. I mean, the business people, like
Okay.
we do business on that sense. Our philosophy is best product at the best price. I mean, that's a philosophy. And so these things I learned from my mother. Certain things which I learned is when she was doing that indie business just outside our hut, she used to like give her five kids. So if you see five kids, each kid eat two to three idlis also. It is like around 15 idlis we consume per time, right? So if it is breakfast, we eat 15 idlis. We five people together. So in this business, what happens is not all the time the idlis will sell, right? So like sometimes like there would be like idlis left over. So what she does is like she won't waste it. So she will give idlis for breakfast. And if it is more than 15 idlis, somewhere around 30 idlis, it's not sold. Then what she does is like she gives idlis for lunch also.
Okay.
Or what she does is like when we come back home, she will make that idli into idli upma and give us idli upma.
Okay.
So as a kid, I used to think that she's not giving tasty. I mean, all the time idlis is too much, you know. So like I used to think, but later on when I realized that, you know, when I grow up, I realized if she's going, her profit is just, if she sells all the idlis, she will earn somewhere around 50 idlis profit, say per idli 25 paise or 50 paise. She will earn that much, right? But if she's going to throw all these idlis into the dustbin, it means that she's throwing all her profit. So how she was managing is she was giving this idli. Anyway, the money which comes out of it, she will use that for feeding us.
Okay.
So of wasting like and also spending more money. For the new food, she uses this very beautifully. So if she didn't follow this, this would have put her out of business. So this I learned from her. Do not do wastage, do not waste food, do not throw food, and cost cutting and stuff like that. I
Okay.
learned from her.
I also wanted to ask you that you've seen this idli business from your childhood, but after that you went into binding a little bit. Then you got exposed to engineering, a job after that, a software company, then a step ahead management. And after all this, even after getting so much of exposure, you chose to come back to your roots to the food industry itself. So I still wanted to understand why didn't other avenues excite you as much?
Actually, naturally, I should have started a software company
Yeah,
because I
exactly.
had 3 years of software experience.
Yeah.
So naturally, I should have done that and managed. But like there were people like Narayan Murthy sir, Arun Jain sir, then Lakshmi Narayan sir, then you have like TCS and Asim Premji sir, who are all managing very beautifully, big software companies. So, and people who work in the software companies mostly come from the middle and upper class kind of a background. So what I realized is I wanted to work with the poor people. They have to be the breadwinners, and they should be the, they are the, like the people who managing the family. So in that sense, I wanted to interact with them. I want to make a difference in their life. So that made me to choose the food industry. And
Okay.
second thing is, like food industry had lots of opportunities. And I had like watching my mother selling idli. I myself, used to go around the street and sell idlis and come back. And so that experience, little bit sentimental, you can say.
Okay.
Apart from that, I had experience of managing the
College mess.
mess of IIM Ahmedabad.
Okay.
So that while I was managing, people appreciated me like your Annadata, that, this. Though they are paying and eating, no, but when you give a good food, from 60, 50% satisfaction level, I took it to nearly 93, 94%.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I took the responsibility very sincerely, and I used to spend lots of time on that, That really helped me to understand the industry also. So that's how I found that lots of opportunities are there. So I got into this business.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to know, I'm really curious to know about this also, because when I was reading about your childhood, when you speak about your childhood, you come across as a child with such maturity for that age. As in, it was just a school kid, but the way that small boy was thinking, probably because of the good thought to help your mom, probably were encouraged by this, but still I felt that you were too matured for your age at that time. So when you spoke of the kerosene lamp being enough for just one book, it was so intense for a small boy to say that. So I was wondering, if you look back actually and you look at that kid who is thinking so much beyond his age, so much matured for his age, what would you tell him now?
I think he is lucky.
Okay, I didn't expect this. Okay.
He is lucky to survive and come back to this stage.
Okay.
Like when I was, just a pass of, I was just getting out of IIM Ahmedabad.
Hmm.
So when I just looked back my own life. I haven't started the company also that time. So I realized that it's like a Mount Everest. And I just asked if I wanted to come back, I mean, start from the same scratch and, again do the same thing. I never wanted to do that because it's too tough. I mean, too toughness, too tough. And also, there's not only hard work, but lots of luck here and there, lots of help from the society, many factors. I mean, evening tuition, I had free tuition from Satya Sai Seva Samiti. A family was teaching 50 poor kids. So that helped me to learn. That when I did good in my studies over there, that helped me to get notebooks. That helped me to get a pen. Getting a pen from a family, from a parent is nothing. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, but for getting a pen, I used to study really well. For getting pencil, I used to study really well. Those were the motivating factors because my mother was not in a position to afford even this basic thing. So, a family was feeding us once in a month. These all helped me. And my teacher helped me in my third standard with her son's uniform. And in my seventh standard, couple of teachers were sharing my fees, 50% my class teachers. So, and lots of times my correspondent was helping me to sit inside the class, even though I had to pay a 6 month, 5 month of fees put together. So he was kind enough to allow me into the class after a week or, like giving me permission. So these all, I don't know whether I will be able to get all these things together. So that's the reason I was lucky. I mean, lots of factors went to it. And as in my 12th also, I used to starve. You won't even imagine. In the whole 12th, I just had a single, pant and two shirts. That was having for nearly, 2 to 3 years. I was having the same stuff, and I was wearing. See, it's like this: like you wear a shirt today, and tomorrow you go to wear another color shirt. You can't wear your uniform. So the next day, how you can show the people that you have another shirt? Like you just have to wear the same shirt. It was too tough, that too at that age where the girls look at you and guys talk about you. It was tough. I mean, he's very hardworking, and he's lucky. He's blessed. So,
Another interesting aspect that you tried out in life was politics. So you were a complete outsider to politics, and somehow you dared to get into it. Most people would aspire, they might even talk of it, but they don't actually do it. But you tried it out. So I was wondering, what were the lessons you took out of politics? And there are so many young people who now aspire to do it. What would be your advice to them?
it's good, but politics is full of money and lots of other things, and you need to have a patronage of a political leader if you don't want to start your own party. And you won't believe, I'm the first guy to do a political campaign through social media in India. Not Narendra Modi ji, not Arvind Kejriwal ji. I was the first guy to introduce in a big level. With political campaign through social media with focus, I came third. I got nearly 5% of the votes in Chennai, in my constituency. And first time I was having 2.5% vote. Then I improved it to 5% vote. Right. So in that elections in 2009, I was the only guy to contest as independent, and few seniors in across the country like Captain Gopinath, then Meera Sanyal, they're all like 50 plus, 60 plus. I was just 29 or 28. I contested. So and I got the maximum votes as an independent. And seeing me in 2011, if you see the, if you see the, list, there were many youngsters independent who were contesting.
Okay.
That's a positive thing I think I contributed to the society, and that's the thing I wanted it to make happen. That more youngsters should come into politics. It's good. It's I mean it's good to come, but they have to start from the scratch. And if they don't have a patronage of a political party, and it's very difficult, to come. And as you know, political parties, not all the parties are merit based. Most of the parties are like dynastic politics and
Yeah. Okay, sir. So back to
and
yeah.
it's not that I quit politics. It's like,
Okay.
there is I'm still very young, and I tried it very young also.
Hmm.
So I have lots of learnings. I have lots of people goodwill, and lots of blessings. So I'll achieve my dream, whatever I wanted to achieve in politics.
That's great news. Very nice to hear. Okay, sir. And back to food industry, sir. So I was curious to know about the impact of this pandemic.
Yeah,
So I saw that most of your businesses were institutional catering.
yeah.
So that I guess would be affected with work from homes and study from homes and all of that. So I was wondering what your thought is on the food industry as a whole. How do you see this going forward? What are the changes you expect after this pandemic?
I mean, the hygiene standards and no, the food handling standards would have gone many times higher now, which is good for the country as a whole. That's a positive thing which we have got out of this pandemic. A healthy, food industry is very important. Hygiene food industry is very important. And most of the people, I mean, almost all the people would have understood, from roadside vendor to the five-star hotels, they would have understood the importance of hygiene and, healthy foods. So that's good. And as you rightly said, most of my calls, see, you can teach online, but you cannot eat online, right? So students
Okay.
are put up across the country, but I'm not in a position to serve from here. But luckily, couple of hospitals, I never, my business never got closed down, though the volumes are reduced very drastically. But still, I was running the show even during the Corona time.
Okay.
I was driving down nearly 20,000 kilometers just to check that, the people who are affected because of Corona, and the patients, their attendants, and the doctors, they all get food, without any problem. So I was doing it. So I was very happy, I came to this industry to do service, and I did service. Yes, there is a break for 6 months without, any much business, but things will bounce back to same levels. I mean, for sure, but it will take at least couple of months for me. The moment the students come in, right? So my
Yeah.
business will improve immediately. But for outside people, I think they may not come to the same level what they were before pre-corona times. Today, people are a little bit, like they think to go outside and eat in a restaurant. Even we have reduced going out and eating in restaurants. The frequencies has come down. Only necessity they go out and eat. So which I feel like it takes some time to pick up, at least 1 or 2 years to come back to the same level. So
And then I also saw a picture of you plowing, and today you were at the farm. So, are you going to venture into agriculture next, sir?
oh, I have been in. I mean, like past year, I have been. And during the 6 months, another one thing I got involved is farming. I
Okay.
didn't have much time to go and do some agriculture in my land. So I used to go there and take some interest, because and also do some backward integration, like to get some food supplies from my own land to the units.
Food king
So
business.
yeah, and I'm into farming. You can say today also I did the plow. I did plow few. I mean, couple of acres I plowed. I learned, and I'm a very good car driver. I mean, I drive like crazy. So driving tractor also come very easily for me. So, and it's good to like to I mean, do farming. You know, you feel really good, like that you're doing real work.
Okay. And I can't let you go before getting a tip from you on entrepreneurship. So I I'm sure this would have been a cliched question to you, but I still wanted to ask you that. So what's that one tip you would give to youngsters on entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship. People see, if you come from a very normal family, if entrepreneurship is very new for you, my advice is like to start small and build on it, learn from it. Start small is invest small. When you
Okay.
invest say 1 lakh or say 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, you make a business out of it with that small money. And when definitely there will be lots of learnings, you might lose the money, but you don't lose much.
Okay.
But you don't get lots of debt. You start in a big way. Then
Okay.
when you lose that, you are totally out of the business. Again, coming back to the business with such a loss will hamper you to coming back to the business. My advice is to start small, learn, and grow big. Don't hurry up. That would
Okay.
be my advice. Just like a Japanese bamboo tree which grows for just 6 inches in the first 6 years, and in the next 6 months it grows for 90 feet. So
Okay.
similar to that, start small and grow big.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
It
you
was
so
a
much.
nice conversation.